lives and 126 were wounded and sent home. In World War II, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians served primarily with the Allied forces and were recruited by Great Britain and Canada. By the end of the war, 2,889 Newfoundland and Labrador men had enlisted in the Royal Navy, more than in any single branch of the armed forces. Some 10,000 Newfoundland and Labrador merchant mariners helped deliver goods to and from the Allied countries aboard non-military vessels. Forces sunk more than 5,000 Allied merchant ships and killed at least 333 of Newfoundland's mariners. Today we're remembering the sacrifice of Newfoundland and Labrador men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country and were lost at sea. It's fitting that we do so because able Seaman Leander Green, who we will be honoring in the community center, selflessly placed himself in harm's way in order to save fellow mariners who were at peril on the sea. He was recognized for this bravery in 1915, and 101 years later, we'll be recognizing his bravery once again. I will be formally introducing our special guests at the community center.
7 verse 23 states, "Some went down to the sea in ships and plied their trade in deep water. They beheld the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep." Almighty God, creator of the seas, bless us as we gather for this important occasion. We give you thanks for all the women and men who go to sea in ships, and for those who have paid the supreme sacrifice.
Mark Brown, member of the House of Assembly for Placentia West, Bellevue, and parliamentary assistant to the Premier, and His Worship Robert Snook, Mayor of the Town of Sunnyside. Captain Darren Garnier, Commanding Officer, Canadian Forces Maritime Warfare Centre, Brigadier General Ed Ring, retired, and Mr. Christian Corbett, Sculptor in Residence, Royal Canadian Navy. Selma Martin, representing Pierce's family, and Doreen Lynch, representing Calvin's family. Andrea Murray, representing Raymond's family, and Jesse Cole,
The bar's closed.
And of course I made it. Oh my god. I made
Color query, 3 paces, step back, march. 3, go out. If you just move through, we can park that. Yeah, we'll go park them after. All right, okay. You just wait over there and I'll find you an afterwards. Just pull them right up at the... You're courage if you hit yourself.
That's pretty good.
And I used to work in corrections, so here you go. I'll take care of him this school.
and Governor Frank Fagan, seated in the middle. And beside him, Her Honor Mrs. Patricia Fagan. We also have the Member of Parliament for Bonavista, Buren Trinity, and the Minister of Public Services and Procurement, the Honorable Judy Foote. The Member of the House of Assembly for the District of Placentia West, Bellevue, and the Parliamentary Assistant to the Premier, the Honorable Mark Brown. And the Mayor of the Town of Sunnyside is Worship Mayor Robert Snow. In the back row, we have Commanding Officer, Canadian Forces Maritime Warfare Center, and Captain Gurney's wife Deborah Rosawera, who is formerly from Arnold School, Newfoundland and Labrador. She's here with us today as well. Sculptor and artist, has works of art exhibited in over 80 galleries worldwide. And also in the audience are 2 more surviving members of the children of Leander Green, Marguerite, Martinette, and Melvin Green. They need wreaths this morning. Representing the Royal Canadian Legion is Stephen Hannum, Commander of District 3. And Coogan Legionnaires. Our flag bearers were Master Seaman Norman Snook, Leading Seaman Jamie Smith, and Sergeant Roger Smith. And all three of them are related to Leander Green's Legionnaires as well. Dale Russell Fitzpatrick is here today, and she's the person who produced the storyboard that you see over here, where the bar usually is. And she's produced all of the storyboards that have been installed at our lookouts here in Town. Last but not least, we have 100 direct descendants of Leander Green, who have traveled far and wide to be with us for this auspicious occasion. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon our guest speakers, and the first guest speaker will be His Honor Lieutenant Governor Frank Green.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. It's a real honor and a pleasure for my wife Pat and I to be here today, participate in this very, very important commemorative event. And I would like to say welcome to the Green family, a wonderful, large family. You came from a family of 11, I came from a family of 12 kids. Well, I can't wait one of these days to see such a reunion. This is a very, very, very important time in the history of Newfoundland and Labrador, particularly as we are going through a commemorative period of the 100th anniversary of the First World War, a period when we're taking the opportunity to... This year was also an important year as it celebrates the 100th anniversary, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Wartime, and remember those who have served and those who have sacrificed and given their lives in support and service of their country so that we can enjoy the freedom that we do today. I would also like to say thank you to Christian for having made this bust. I had a sneak peek at it. It's a spectacular bust, and I think it's extremely fitting that this bust is being unveiled in Leander's hometown of Sunnyside. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for the work that you do in preserving our history, preserving our heritage, for the work that you do using your talent, your artist talent, and the development. And again, a wonderful tribute, a real honor, and a deep pleasure for us to be made a small part of this day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and is that for me? Thank you so much for the invitation to be here, and as a member of Parliament for Bonavista, Bureau and Trinity, and Sunnyside is one of 240 communities in our riding. It's a real pleasure for me to be here with you today, and I'm humbled to be in the presence of so many uniformed personnel, those who serve, keep us all safe, to be in the presence of the Green family, the ancestors of able Seaman Leander Green. I think that so many of you have come together to remember this most courageous gentleman, and to be here with all of us, for us to be able to say thank you to you for everything that he did to keep us all safe. It's amazing when we stop and think about those of us who have people who have served. We all know what trials and tribulations, what they endured, many paying the ultimate sacrifice. So it's good to be here with those of you who are family members of able Seaman Green, to be able to say thank you to you as well, because we all know that when loved ones are involved and there's danger present, that all families reach out to make sure that we hold each other both in comfort, in prayer, as well as always remembering the sacrifices that were made by those who served, whether it was back in World War I or whether people continue to serve. We know that we will always be engaged in fighting wars. while we all pray that most of our efforts will be in peacekeeping, we all recognize, particularly those who are legionnaires, those who served, and those in our forces who continue to serve, that we will always have a role to play to keep our world safe. All we do pray is that those who are fighting on our behalf, who are paying the ultimate sacrifice by leaving behind families, by going and doing what needs to be done, so that we can all recognize that we all have that responsibility, that we always keep each other in mind. It's so good to be here with you again, because I am humbled by being in your presence. And I want to say a sincere thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to share in this very special milestone. And I'm looking forward, I didn't have a sneak peek, Your Honor, but I'm looking forward to seeing the bust and to say thank you to Christian for your hard work, for your commitment to making sure, as His Honor said, that our history is preserved. But I'm also looking forward to hearing from the Green family, because I think for all of us here, it is the family to whom we owe so much and to whom we want to hear. So thank you again for the invitation. Thank you to the Heritage Society for the initiative you took in working with the family to have this most special event take place here in Sunnyside, and the sun will shine. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I look forward to speaking with each of you throughout the event.
Mr. Foote, Your Worship, Mr. Mayor, and of course the wonderful people of Sunnyside and members of the Green family. On my mother's side, there were 13 children, and I have 60 first cousins, but nothing to thank you guys. I don't know where you all fit if you didn't have a reunion, but it is my certain honor to be here with you today. Not only in my capacity as your MHA, but also as the Premier's Parliamentary Assistant. He's actually in Gander today, taking part in the commemorative events surrounding anniversary of 9/11, so that's why he couldn't be here today. And his honor was right, this is your commemoration in so many ways. And when I look out and see this sea of uniforms, I see a family that was so committed to Seaman Green, it is heartwarming. On July 1st, I couldn't be here for the ceremony because I was in Ottawa at the Canadian War Museum, where I'm told the other bus is located. And on that day, there was quite a large ceremony where I represented the province and a replaying of the Prime Minister attended, the Governor General, the Chief of Defence Staff, and it was amazing to see how many people were out to celebrate the contributions that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians have made. And Abel Seaman Green was one of them. And it does my heart to see the people here today. And as I was driving down, I was thinking about his act of courage that was recognized by the King of England and the King of Norway. And I was saying, it must have taken a lot of guts. But as I started thinking about it more and processing what exactly had happened, I thought it wasn't so much guts, perhaps, as it was that in the moment when he required to call upon his inner compass, he determined it was sturdy as a church, and that he knew in his own heart what was right to do, and he did it, and he ended up saving lives as a result of it. So I want to say thank you to the Heritage Committee, to the town, and to everyone who plays part in making this happen. And given that today is the 15th anniversary of 9/11, I think there is a correlation to be made between the act of terrorism of Mr. Green and the first responders who on that day in New York and in Washington ran into the fire as opposed to away from it. And that's exactly what Abel Seaman Green did. He jumped in the water without even thinking about it. So I want to take one moment just to say thank you to all of our first responders, whether it be the Canadian Forces, our RCMP, our ANC, our paramedics, and our firefighters, whether it's the member of the Sunnyside Volunteer Fire Department or a member of the battalion overseas. You deserve our thanks and respect, and I assure you, you have the gratitude of a very grateful province. Thank you very much.
His Worship here, one of his clerk, representing the Town of Sunnyside.
Thank you, Vegas. Well, about a day to be mayor of Sunnyside. Your Honor, to the Lieutenant Governor Fagan and Mrs. Fagan, Honorable Judy Foote, Honorable Mark Brown, Captain Darren Garnier, Commander Shannon Lewis Simpson, Sculptor Christian Willis, Deputy Chief Jim Carroll, RNC and RNC Mountain Unit, Brigadier General Ed Ring, Stephen Hannan, Royal Canadian Legion, and of course all the other dignitaries, there are too many to mention. I'm overcome by the number of people that are here coming to celebrate this event with us from away, but also to see so many from the town of Sunnyside there as well. This place that we're in was run at school for a few years. I went here for one day for a while, but I got suspended for a year and couldn't come back in kindergarten. Make the worst of it. And in that particular year when I began kindergarten, apparently there were just too many students. So they took the ones that were the youngest ones and said, well, we can't take them this year, we'll have to take them next year. So I was sent home and had to wait a year to come back to school, right here in the same building. But this has a lot of history for me. This is very personal for me. Very pleased to see so many members of the Green family. When I first began talking to Everett about this event, when we first knew of it, he said that, I said the large number of us show up. And I said, I knew it would be, I never ever thought we'd get 100 plus. Just fantastic representation of your family. All our invited guests, I welcome you here today. On behalf of the Town of Sunnyside, Deputy Mayor Fred Kerr, Councillors Denise Trowbridge, Lisa Reed, and Sharon Bennett, and all the staff, it is indeed an honor for me to welcome you to Sunnyside. I'm very proud to say that I'm a resident of Sunnyside. I remember as a boy going to church, the same church that Mr. Leander Green and his family attended. It's only right there, right next door. It's gone now with the church right there. I remember attending church, and Mr. Green and his family were there as well. He always appeared to me to be a very dedicated and humble man who was not seeking any special attention. This gentleman from our hometown, whom we are honoring here today, may not have performed such an heroic deed and should inspire all of us to do great things. We may not have the opportunity to accomplish a feat similar to his, but we can still do much to make our community, our province, and our country a better place. Each of us can do that, no matter what walk of life we come from. I consider myself to be very blessed to have been given the opportunity to share in this honor that has been bestowed upon Mr. Green, his family, and the community today. Many thanks to all who attended today, and a very special thanks to you, the members of the Green family again. Some of you have traveled a great distance to be here today. I'd also like to take this opportunity to welcome Leading Seaman Jamie Snook and Master Seaman Norman Snook home, although for a brief stay. It's good to see you back here in Sunnyside, and I thank you for coming. I thank you for your involvement in this ceremony today. I also want to thank Master Corporal Rogers as well. We didn't have Council prior, but he's still here. So again, thank you all for coming. I'm sure we'll have a great day. Hope you all enjoy your visit and have fond memories to carry with you when you leave. Thank you.
Hold the sunset through the year.
I don't wish the Lord over anyone, and I feel much more comfortable on the floor speaking to you directly. Because despite the very upbeat, celebratory nature of the day, the act that created this opportunity to commemorate his life is in fact born in the horrors of war. And so I would like to take a little different tack, if you will indulge me for a couple of minutes, to expand on a few thoughts. So before doing that, I'd like to acknowledge my appreciation for the honor, Ms. Fagan, Honorable Mr. Foote, Mr. Moore, Your Worship, all distinguished guests here, families and friends of Leander Green, my brothers and sisters in uniform who are here today, are very, very good friends in the Mounted Police, very, very good friends in that East communication, and the Royal Newfoundlander Staff. And those who may not know, I was the station commander at St. John's before Jerry some years ago, and I had great interactions with the local police authorities and had a deep, abiding respect for the sacrifice and the service they bring upon us as well. And it's not just them, but the first responders that I mentioned earlier. In thinking about what I would say, I was drawn to the curious coincidence of the date of 11 September. And I know it's been mentioned, I don't wish to dwell upon the significance of the date. I think we're all aware that sacrifice takes many forms, and I think it's important to commemorate that 15 years ago today, there was a lot of sacrifice and Canadians lost their life in that event as well in New York City. But I think it's very important for us to take some time before the bus is unveiled to really understand what it means to be a hero. Okay? So I once upon a time had the opportunity to meet the daughter of a fellow named Smokey Smith, who won the Victoria Cross. And she explained to us that her father was a very humble man, he heard us go Leander, that no one really understood the circumstances of his heroic actions. And he was very reluctant to speak about them in his life. And I bet that's probably true with Mr. Green as well. And basically, it's ordinary people put into extraordinary circumstances, and then they do extraordinary things. So everyone in this room, some of us perhaps feel a little bit more ordinary than others, on the day would be brave enough, I believe, to pull someone from a burning car, to jump in the water to save someone who fell off the board, who would have that personal courage and fortitude to help their neighbor in need in a burning house in the middle of the night in some small community in Newfoundland. But this man who we're commemorating here today, Able Seaman Leander Green, a brother sailor, a brother seaman, a brother Newfoundlander, he was a kind of special bear, right? So he joined, as I recollect in the story, he was in his mid-20s when he joined the Royal Naval Reserve, which was a little old for the day. A lot of these young men that went off, they were mostly men, were 18, 19, some of them were 15 and lied, 16. So he was a bit older. He was a fisherman. He'd done some time on the sealing ships, if I recall correctly from reading the story. So he was a man who was, I think, given to hard work, to understanding that there's sacrifice required to put food on the table for his family, and that occasionally danger lurked at every moment. And when you're a sailor at sea, no matter how good the weather is, there are always dangers and risks. And when you're faced with the violence of the enemy in wartime, that risk is prevalent. It's mind-numbing and it's terrifying. And I can only imagine on the 31st of January of 1915 how he must have felt seeing those poor folks in the water after their ship had been torpedoed or had been lost to the sea, and what it would have taken for him to say, yeah, I'll go do that 6 times. Not once. Most of us would probably do it once and then come back and I'll do that again. But he did it 6 times. It's remarkable. A remarkable story that earned him a decoration, an award for bravery, that at the time was only 3 months old. It had been created in October of 1914 by the King for specifically service in the Navy and amongst Commonwealth nations. And so Leander was the first Newfoundlander to receive the most prestigious decoration at the time that could have been received for, say, the Victoria Cross. And so he was a pretty remarkable captain. And then he came home after the war, and as I was speaking briefly with his son, carried on a life of fishing back to the sea, fishing off the Labrador, where that's my recollection. You really don't want to jump in at any time of year. And carried on until he passed away and departed us in 1966. So that's 50 years ago. A remarkable period of time has passed. And the reason it's important for us to gather here today in a very heartfelt, warm commemoration of this amazing human being, so that we can take strength, all of us, gathered here, great strength from his courage, so that as we face challenges in our own lives and to come in the days ahead, whatever we may do, that we can take a little bit of Leander and perhaps channel it on those cold, dark nights when we have to jump into the water, even if it's only a metaphorical water, and make some tough choices in our lives. Because people like him, men like him, they should inspire us. But we need to remember and to recollect, as professionals, as sailors, as soldiers, airmen, airwomen, police officers, that he could do it. We could find it within him on the day that is probably in us. And with the Green family so assembled about us, the multitudes of the Green family, I would say to you that we always said the blood of our forefathers runs in our veins, right? Well, we know that's not necessarily true. It's the DNA of our forefathers that runs in our veins. And every one of you, you should take great strength for knowing there's a little piece of that man embedded somewhere in your souls. And on the day, there will be a lot of courage in you as well. I wish you very well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Next on Commander Shannon Lewis Simpson, who's instrumental in having the prospect for people's.
Thank Captain Garnier for absolutely taking every single bit of my speech. So this will be very short, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, distinguished guests, I can't believe that I'm here actually. It's been a long time since Rich, the Royal Navy historian, called me and said, we're thinking about doing a bust about a Royal Naval Reserve Newfoundland Division sailor. Who should we pick? So immediately I said Leander Green. That was 3 years ago. So it's taken a long time to get here, and I'm so delighted to be here and be a part of this. You know, the very testament, and I'm so pleased as well that Leander Green returned home from war, because of course a lot of men didn't. And how many other halls across Newfoundland would have been filled with descendants that are not right now, because they didn't come home. So we're lucky. We're doubly and triply blessed to be here and to be all together here to celebrate, I suppose, a very ordinary yet extraordinary man. You know, the facts of the case are simple. You know, on New Year's Eve, there was a Norwegian ship that was either dismasted or torpedoed, depending on what account you read. The official one said she was dismasted because of weather. And one of her ship's boats capsized, and they couldn't get anybody to her to save the crew members and 2 members of Hillary's crew, which was the Leander Green ship, on board. So the captain asked around for volunteers, and he said, yes sir, I'll go. And he went. And he jumped into the water, probably 5 minutes to 15 minutes past midnight on New Year's Eve night, 1915. Probably wearing not much at all. You know, we didn't have very good Gore-Tex coats in these days. I tell you, or immersion suits, right? We probably had nothing more than skin. Took a line to the ship in order for Hillary's sport boat to get there and save the people that were on board. Those of us who have served at sea and have been on the ocean know that, you know, you got to have a certain amount of strength inside you to get on board, to be that fellow to put up his hand. But it's not only that. You know, he was on board Hillary for his entire period, basically, as Captain Garnier said. He joined the reserve, you know, when he was 22 years of age, so a little bit older. He was a crack fisherman. He knew what he was about on the ocean. Everything was fine. He joined 2 years before he started the war, one of the 600 or so sailors that were already trained before war broke out. Then when war was declared, the reserve were called up in advance. He got to St. John's on August 6th, and then sailed to England on Franconia in November. So he joined Hillary after a bit of training, and she was on board her for the duration of the service in the North Atlantic, serving off the 10th Cruiser Squadron around Wartime. Not a very good spot of real estate on the sea, for sure. He was a member of the ship's boarding party. These guys are the elite sailors would have joined the boarding parties at that time. And they were doing 3 inspections and 2 boardings per day, every single day. No outboard motors there, no jet engines. You're doing it by hand. You're rowing over to the ship, you're climbing up the ladder yourself, and then you're rowing back. And you can only imagine the swell in the North Atlantic that he would be doing. So these are the conditions that he would have been working on every day from the time that he did his heroic act, afterwards and before, and he never stopped. Up until 1917 when Hillary was torpedoed underneath him. And then he had a broken arm in the torpedo attack. He spent some time in Glasgow, had some steel plates put in his arm. Then he returned to Newfoundland and then sailed on the coast between Halifax and St. John's, acting as patrol there. So, we all can imagine ourselves how we would have felt. But I think he did have a few misgivings about actually jumping into the ocean. He told Everett after the fact, he said he had certain misgivings. He said, "My God," he thought himself, "what am I doing out here tonight?" So he sailed back to Newfoundland, as I said, and then he was demobilized. He owned schooners. He went fishing on the Labrador for many years, married Mary Blanche, and moved to Sunnyside. He raised 11 children, as you know. And as been said, he was a quiet and very tolerant man. Everett told me that his father told him that when he was at sea, he went, and when he came into port, he went to the church in chapel. When I was in port, I would dress up in uniform, see the closest steeple, and make port. He didn't care. He had a great notion of religious tolerance. He didn't speak much about his wartime experience, but proudly wore his ribbons during special events and occasions in the community and the province to which he was invited. So as was mentioned, today is September 11th, and I know that I can see the same sort of notion in his soul as I could see, amongst my shipmates at Cabot and at sea at St. John's on that day when we just dropped everything and went. And I think that's what Captain Guardian was mentioning as well. It's going towards, not away. And I think that we can all recognize that. And that's why, to me, and to all of us here, he is a hero. Because of the selfless actions that he partaked upon. And we can all seek to emulate his example. It's as simple as that. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Person who created this, Sculpting quoted from that.
Your Honor, distinguished guests, Green family, friends. Wow. As sculptor and resident for the Royal Community, it's a great pleasure to be here today. I think a lot has been covered with Seaman Leander Green, his great heroic acts. But I know what's going to happen later in the day after this jail is that many people will ask, how did the book come about? How did it work? So if I can share that with you just as briefly as I can. Over 3 years ago, I was laid before me 5 pieces of paper. Men's names were named. Yes, no names. And I looked at them and I go, you know history. And as I am a very spiritual person, I laid them out on the table and just laid my hands on them all. And I laid for them to speak to me. One evening that I spoke to me. Turned it over and there's all the information provided for me. One of the things I first noted was that this individual had passed away in 1966, the year I was born. So I thought that was interesting. I start with, in my studio, I start where I just have a piece of clay on a stick, basically. And I look for photographs or whatever the movie can provide me, stories. There wasn't a great deal there. So what I ended up doing was just feeling the sort of spiritual energy of what was going to happen and what I needed to do in order to fulfill my position and honor this individual. So I started sculpting away, and for the longest time, it seemed that it didn't happen. And I started reading the story again and again, and I started getting more and more of the feel. I started getting sort of a greater sort of, I would say, spiritual sense of what this individual had done. And after time, I noticed that the portrait was slowly starting to develop. The face started to emerge. Never knowing when the portrait's going to be finished, I leave it in my studio on the third floor of my home. I had a single light on. I just wait. I go back at it, bit by bit, laying a little piece of clay here, a little piece of clay there, walking back, sitting down, having a drink with him, quietly, just enough. And then eventually, sat down one night, a couple months ago, and I said, "Well, Leander, I'm waiting for you." I sat up, rubbed the warm clay in my hand, moved forward, dropped a couple little pieces, right on his eye sockets. What I call it, 4 little sockets. Sat down, looked down at my drink, looked up. And there he was, looking right back at me. Came back to life. And that's it. It's as simple as that. This is the second unveiling of this portrait bust. This year, the first one was unveiled at the War Museum by the Admiral Mark Norman to a guest, a host of 500 and something people. It was quite remarkable to say the least. So I certainly hope that the portrait does you all great pleasure, particularly with them. Thank you. One of the things I'm most collected for is medallions, and on this centenary of the 100 years of Bo and Hamill, Luke Howdenstrand, my protege here, who works with me at Broadmoor Studios, we created, I think, and I hope is a fitting medallion of some forget-me-nots to commemorate those individuals. This is for the fathers of the town afterwards.
Okay, folks.
And I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, but we're really all friends here today, aren't we?
Yes.
And when he came home from church Sunday mornings and took off his hat and put it in the hat box, he better be the next one to take it out. Get their driver's license when the oldest one left to go away to work. I was the last one to get my driver's license. When he came out on Sunday morning to go to church, he'd open the door in the front and the passenger side, and he'd look in over the front, the back seat, and he'd look in the back. He'd say, "Okay, we'll go now." Our family is so pleased today to witness the honor and reverence that's bestowed upon him here today. He used to write letters to his sister when he was overseas. And in one letter he wrote, I had a good trip this time. The king gave me a medal. That was it for him. He didn't say a lot. On that New Year's Eve, at 2 minutes past midnight, when he stepped forward to rescue those people, he wrapped the rope around his chest and he held the end of it in his mouth. Before he jumped, he had no idea and didn't think of what might be underneath the waters that he was jumping into, looking for a good lunch. That didn't bother him at all. He was on a mission to serve as many people, save as many people as he possibly could to humanity. I'd like to thank Susan Hadar and her committee and all the people here today, people who I know and people who I don't know, that helped to arrange this service, this event. It's quite an honor. And I just want to thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.
The town of Sunnyside, without whose assistance none of these things could ever happen. Thanks to the caterers who are about to feed us and provide the food that we receive. The Heritage Association for the work that it does. It's amazing the amount of work that a few volunteers can perform and do perform.
Let us pray. Bless the armed forces, emergency first responders, and their heroic deeds, meeting all our national needs. And as we eat, keep us aware how much, O God, we're in your care. And we give thanks for this food, for those who have prepared it, and we pray that you will keep us mindful of the needs of others through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Things that he had, particularly food. And I remember when we were in Sunnyside, when we moved to Sunnyside, I was only a year old. And I remember him going to church on Sunday morning when I was driving the car. When I got my license, he couldn't drive because he had heart problem. On the way to church, we would pick up a carload. Then after we get out of church, he would say to me, now everybody say, we have to pick up another crowd now on the way back. Don't pick up the same crowd. He said, so we took up a different crowd, and I come home and drop them off at the house, and he looked at me and he said, now bring those people home, bring them home. So that's the kind of person you are, right? When he got out of the Navy and he went into fishing on that way, when he came home from St. John's after selling his fish, he used to bring home a lot of vegetables, fruits, particularly oranges and things like that. And at that particular time, we didn't have any refrigeration. So he would bag up everything he had in little bags and write the names on them, little brown bags. And when we get out of school, for about a week or 2 weeks after, we would be walking around Sunnyside delivering the fruit to the people. He'd have their names written on every bag. So I did that after school for about 2 weeks and called me here when it came. That's just some of the fun. But the most exciting time, I think, I always wanted a pair of skates. It was having about some planning. And anyway, he used to say to me, don't worry, he'd say, you get your skates. He said, you get your skates. So this evening I went home from school. He said, I got a package here for you. So I went and looked, gave me the box, and there was my pair of skates. So they were happy times. He was a wonderful father. He was well respected. He was a great singer. And he used to play the organ in the church sometimes. And he said to me, when I was at sea, he said, I went to church in the chapel. When I was in port, I'd dress up Sunday morning when I was off. I would walk up to the deck of the ship and I would scour the horizon. And he said, the closest thing to the church and the ship, he said, that's where I went. And to end the interview, he always said to us, you are warriors, you are angry. Don't ever dash anybody's race or their religion. And this was a wonderful occasion. And I would like to thank everybody involved here, Susan and her committee, and other people that came from far away to be here today. And we are very grateful and very proud of the honor and reverence that's been bestowed on our cause.